Descriptors in extreme metal have gotten to a place, in my opinion, and just 4 years in, where there's almost no meaning at all. Oh, this is crushingly heavy. Something is just, devastating. And a lot of stuff we hear with death doom or black metal is, this is unnerving. It's dark. It's gloomy, it's unsettling, and you don't even really feel anything from these descriptions. It's just so frequent, everything's overhyped, it seems like. But today, with every ounce of genuineness in me, I'm going to share with you, in my opinion, the absolute most darkest album in my collection. Oh, hi there, my name's Jorge. I grew up in the 80s and I used to love getting into trouble. I have always been a friend of felines. I take my faith very seriously, attending college at a Christian school, and I've been a music fan my entire life, only recently discovering that I really like extreme metal, and I want to invite you to journey with me on my discovery of extreme metal. What is up, folks? Welcome back to A Christian Collects Death Metal. It's your pal Jorge here, back at you with another video. Thanks for stopping by. Once again, welcome back. I have wanted to make this video for a very long time, and I just put it on the back burner for fear, basically, of what others would say, what people would think of me. And I thought, you know what, today I'm throwing caution to the wind. It is what it is. It's all subjective anyway. This is just my opinion. As far as like dark albums go, death metal, it's not real. I mean, even stuff like Pissgrave and this other stuff, that's not, like, I'm talking dark on this one. And yeah, this is about as far as I'm willing to take it. I actually have an honorable mention that we'll discuss first. So my first honorable mention, well, my only honorable mention, is these guys back here. Black Curse, and specifically Burning in Celestial Poison. And I know, before you start laughing and saying, Jorge, this is just loud, noisy, bestial death metal. Number 4 or number 3 on my albums of the year in 2024. I listened to it the other day too, just as a refresher, and man, wow, boy, this hits hard. But it is incredibly dark. There's just something when it comes to death doom and black metal, specifically those two, and also sludge. They get away with things that death metal could never do, right? And it just mainly atmosphere, I think, for the most part. Let me know if I'm wrong. But when death metal starts going into those directions, then it pushes it into something else. Usually death doom. But anyway, yeah, it's just an incredibly atmospheric album. But when I listen to this, I just get this weird feeling that it really is unnerving. Now, when you look on the back of the album, right here, and it's going to be hard to see, but this is a specific set of instructions on how to listen to this music. And when you zoom in real close and look at what it says listen in darkness at maximum volume. Now, I have a good buddy who's friends with these guys, and I asked him about those instructions. I said, hey man, what's, like I said, he's friends with these guys. I said, what's up with this right here? Listen in complete darkness, basically, at max volume. And this is what he said. He said, Jorge, be careful with that one. And I'm like, what? Because this guy, and if I said his name, you would know him. He's a famous guy in the death metal community. He's that guy that's like, party on, man, turn it up, yeah, And for him to be like, you know, hey, watch out with that one, okay? And I asked him about it because it's so out of character for this guy. I've never heard him get so solemn all of a sudden and just, sort of give me a caution, a word of caution. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he wouldn't elaborate too much. I'll tell you what he said, but he said, man, I know you. I know the kind of person you are. And I'm just telling you, you got to be careful with this one. And so I said, man, my antennas went up. I'm like, come on, man. You got to tell me more, right? And he said, well, Eli Windler, which is the main person of the band, represented by members of Primitive Man, Spectral Voice, Ulthar. You already know this, right? I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. Eli, I think, is probably the main one. That's my suspicion, anyway. So in the songwriting process, he said that Eli had focused a lot of hate and evil and darkness that's in this world. It sort of channeled it into this music. Evokes some sort of weird feeling, man. You just can't help but feel really peculiar and odd, and yeah, there's some great riffs and this and that, but the little bit of atmosphere that is in this, combined with just this bestial chaos, and the wretched vocals too, by the way, make for a really honestly, like, genuinely haunting experience. So for my actual pick for the darkest album in my collection, I have to go with, and I've showed this before on occasion, I think when I talked about Burning and Celestial Poison, the review of that, but Lunar Terrial by Swallowed. Now this was released, this is their debut, by the way, their only actual full-length album, released in 2014. The band themselves formed in 2007, right? And they came out with their EP, Putrefaction, right? These guys are influenced by Autopsy, the likes of Impetigo, Blasphemy, and so you can kind of see where some of that bestial sort of death metal style comes from. This is what I consider to be the darkest album because, and this is death doom at probably its absolute, I mean, they've pushed the genre to its uttermost reaches, its deepest recesses, but it's almost funeral doom to me. I mean, it goes off the rails a couple of times, but for the most part, it's just really slow, torturing, oral terror, as the band says themselves. Dose of oral terror. And that's exactly what Now, these guys are from Finland, Helsinki to be exact. The one gentleman named Vil, and I think he is on drums and vocals, and the other guy, Samu, who strings and also vocals. So it's kind of interesting that they both, like, one, it's not backup vocals, it's just both vocals. And you can hear both styles represented in the music. But man, those vocals, I think, really add to the atmosphere, and they sound like, almost like chants, like wretched chants, or like just these strange, eerie prayers that's being screamed out. It's really unnerving. These guys actually got an endorsement from the man himself, Fenry, and this is his quote. He says, "You can just hear for yourself that these slow and bestial fins are the bee's knees. Hell, hell to the good times." Now, when you get an endorsement from the man himself, my gosh, that says a lot. Now, as far as we're aware, the band is split up. That's what it says on Metal Archives. However, there are whispers that we haven't seen the last of these guys. I've been told personally that we may see something from them as early as this year, 2025, or early next year. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is such an interesting album. I don't listen to it all the time. I have to be in some kind of mood to listen to this one. But every time I do, it's always the same feeling. It's like I'm just sitting there, like, really nervous. And I can't even explain it, to be honest with you. And it doesn't matter if it's in the afternoon with the sun shining and the birds chirping, or late at night, candlelight, darkness. The feeling is still the same. And that's one of just terror and just unsurety. You know, I can't even put it into words, but it just evokes that sense of fear that just something's not right. So when you look on Bandcamp, you know, they give a description kind of towards the bottom of what the music, you know, what the music is, and this is what we see. It says Black Death Magic. Metal is not in there. Obviously, that's implied by both black and death. But then for this album in particular, it says, I think, vile, nasty, black death magic. So, you know, are these guys really be believing that? You know, there's always that, you know, suspicion with some bands, like, you know, are they doing this darker thing for the aesthetic? Are they really about that life? You know, you never really know. But if there ever was one that, you know, my antennas are really up, probably these guys right here. It's a very interesting listen. Misako, the label that they're with, it's an incredible listen. It's an experience that, yeah, I can't ascribe to any other album that I have. It's a unique experience that comes with this album and this album alone. It's, like I said, it's subjective, and I'm curious to hear from you guys. What do you guys consider the darkest albums out there, as far as extreme metal? I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Hey guys, thanks so much. Jorge, a Christian who collects death metal, signing off. Be blessed.